Hi, welcome back to the Lil Will Learning Company. And today we're going to go back and look at another example problem from the math SAT portion of the test. And it's a fairly straightforward one. In fact, it's if you go online and look it up, it's on like the practice test module number 4. It's in the math section. It is problem number 17, and it actually talks about a rectangle and how it proportionally increases. And I'm going to show you pretty quickly how to solve it. It's really not even that bad. But what I will also show with it is the explanation of it in the answer key. And it works, but hopefully my explanation is far simpler. So, hey, let's take a look. So here is the problem number 17 from practice module 4 on the practice SAT test. For a certain rectangular region, the ratio of its length to its width is 35:10. If the width of the rectangular region increases by 7 units, how must the length change to maintain this ratio? Is it A, it must decrease by 24.5 units? B, it must increase by 24.5 units? C, it must decrease by 7 units? D, it must increase by 7 units. All right, I'm going to write down what we know so far. So it has a ratio of its length to its width. So I'm going to put, whoop, let's try this one more time. Whoop. Come on, y'all. Length to its width of, it's 35:10. So therefore its length is 35. Its width is 10. So basically it's longer than it is wide. That's fairly straightforward. Totally understandable. Now, if the width of the rectangular region increases by 7 units, how must the length change to maintain this ratio? I can already see one mistake for some students. It might be in such a rush with the SAT. They read this one as length instead of width. And since they gave us length before width over here, might go, oh yeah, it increases by 7. But that is not correct. It's the width here that's increasing by 7. So I'm going to go ahead and just put 7 over here. How must the length change to maintain this ratio? Now, again, it increases, not decreases. That could be the second mistake that a lot of students would make. They misread that and thinking it might say decrease. Understandable, but that's what the SAT is kind of looking for. It's like, how careful are you with these things? So here's the thing that we have to know. If the width is increasing by 7, the length has to also increase. So it can't be A. It's not going to decrease, and it's not going to be C either. Basically, if the width is increasing, so is the length. So it can't be A or C. So we're going to go ahead and just cross those out. So it's either B or it's D. Does it increase by this much or by this much? So look, here's the ratio I have here. 35 of the length to a 10 for the width. And if the width is going to increase by 7, we don't know how much the length is going to increase by. I'm going to put an X there. So basically we have a proportion here. 35:10 is equal to X to 7. Cross multiply. 10 times X equals 10X. And 35 times 7 is 245. Just trust me. Then from there, divide by 10 to both sides. X equals 24.5. So the answer is B. And it also kind of makes sense. If the length is longer than the width to begin with, even if the width increases by 7, the length is going to increase more anyway. So it can't be D. So I kind of showed you how to solve it in 2 ways. One was just kind of eliminate the choices that don't make any sense anyway. And that narrows it down. And then also it's a pretty simple proportion problem. So therefore, X equals 24.5. That's how much it's going to increase by. So this is fairly straightforward. And the thing, as long as you know proportions and also just a bit of logic, just going like, well, it's not going to decrease. So that eliminates 2 answers. This one's fairly straightforward. But what I want to show you next is what they gave for the answer key portion of this and show you that it makes sense, but it involved way more steps and it just made it a bit more complex. Let's take a look. So here's the explanation of question 17 they give in the answer key. And it says, just like we figured out, choice B is correct. It's given that the ratio of the rectangular region's length to its width is 35 to 10. This can be written as a proportion. Length over width is equal to 35 over 10, or basically length to width is equal to 35 to 10. This proportion can be rewritten as 10L equals 35W. Basically, kind of like what we did. We kind of cross multiplied. Or length is equal to 3.5 times width. If the width of the rectangular region increases by 7, then the length will increase by some number, we'll call it x, in order to maintain this ratio. The value of x can be found by replacing length with length plus x and width with width plus 7 in the equation, which gives us length plus x is equal to 3.5 distributed into width plus 7. This equation can be rewritten using the distributive property as length plus x equals 3.5 times the width plus 24.5. And since the length is equal to 3.5 times the width, the right-hand side of this equation can be rewritten by substituting L for 3.5 times the width, which gives length plus x is equal to length plus 24.5, or x equals 24.5. Therefore, if the width of the rectangular region increases by 7 units, the length must increase by 24.5 units in order to maintain the given ratio. So yeah, that works. That is correct. It's way wordier than, I don't know. It seemed like it took a lot of steps just to, I don't know. It's way more steps than I would personally use to solve a problem like that. If that makes sense to you, man, power to you. But I know for me, just the simple proportion equation that we did earlier, for me, that's enough, and I'm going to stick with that for now. It also explains here why the other choices are incorrect, but kind of like what I pointed out earlier, which is that if the width increases, the length is going to increase. So that automatically got rid of choices A and C. And then also, since we already knew that the length and the width are different sizes, then proportionally they're going to increase by different sizes. So if the width is increasing by 7, it does not mean the length also increases by 7. Unless like it's a square, then that's different. But in this case, since it is a rectangle, and they are different sizes, they're going to proportionally increase by different sizes as well. They're different length, so to speak. So that's why it couldn't have been D. All right. Well, anyway, that's the explanation in the answer key. If it made sense to you, great. And if my explanation earlier made more sense, hey, that's great too. So you see, it's not really even that bad. As long as you increase it proportionally and you set up your proportions and you know how to cross multiply and then basically solve a very simple algebraic equation, you're gold, you're good. So hopefully this was helpful. And if you liked this video, please like and subscribe. And if you ever need mentorship, personalized curriculum, or any educational materials, check us out at the Lil Will Learning Company. Until next time, take care.